He's blessed me tremendously. If I started today, I could not thank him enough for what he has done for me and the people that he's put in my life. It means the world to me. I told my husband, I said, I think I wanted to minister. I travel and I do ministry outside this church, and I very seldom bring the word here because, we've got my husband that does an amazing job. And I told him this morning, I said, well, are you just going to quit? Because, he's been kind of laying off a little bit. And so he said, I'm kind of enjoying this break a little bit. So, but I mentioned to him that I wanted to minister this morning. And this is something that is very, very dear to my heart. And you've heard me minister on this particular topic or about this woman quite a few times. And it's a story that has always intrigued me because an hour for mothers to step to the forefront and to be, at the end of the table and have a prayer. And family is just being, in this day and hour, is just, I thought y'all would hear that. It's not old school for the kids to come in the afternoons and do their work before they get on their telephone or their computers. And so we're talking about basics. We're talking about things that I was taught as a child. When we got to the table, we didn't just start eating, that we said a blessing before we ate. And so I want to get back to the basics. I think that's why we have so many blended families, is because there has to be unity. There has to be order in not only the house of God, because where there is order in the home, there's going to be order in the house of God. It starts at the family. So I'm going to read a few scriptures here. I hope it's not going to be too long, but I'm reading from 1 Samuel 1, 2 and 18. And it says, and he had 2 wives, and the name was Hannah, and one was Hannah, and the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. This man went up from his city yearly to worship and sacrifice with the Lord of hosts. And whenever the time came for Elkanah to make an offering, he would give portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah, although the Lord had shut her womb. And we're going to come back to that in a few moments, but you need to remember that in verse 5 there. The Lord shut Hannah's womb. And her rival always provoked her severely to make her miserable, because the Lord had shut her womb. So it was year by year when she went up to the house of the Lord, and she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. Then Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart so grieved? Am I not better than 10 sons? So Hannah arose after they had finished eating and drinking, and Shiloh. And Eli the priest was sitting on the seat of the doorpost of the tabernacle of the Lord. And she was bitter in her soul, and prayed to the Lord, and wept in anguish. And then she made a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on my affliction of your handmaid servant, and remember me, and not forget your handmaiden, but will give your maid servant a male child, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life. That right there, I just want to stop. When she made this vow, how many people that you know has made vows and went back on them and said, you know what, when it really, really happened, I thought about this and I'm not going to make it happen. But what I love about this is when Hannah told Eli that I want a male child, and I promise that I will bring him to the house of God, and I will give him back to God. And it happened, and she continued praying before the Lord, and Eli watched her mouth. Now Hannah spoke in her heart Only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. So Eli said to her, how long will you be drunk? Put your wine away from you. But Hannah answered and said, O my Lord, I am a woman of sorrow spirit. I have not drunk neither wine nor intoxicating drink, but have poured my soul before the Lord. Do not consider that maid servant a wicked woman, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief I have spoken until now. Then Eli answered and said, go in peace, and then the God of Israel grant you petition which you will have asked of him. Now, when you read this story, and I have dissected this story, and it's very intriguing when you read it, that we are talking about a home with one man and two women. Good enough for 10 sons. She wasn't even thinking